Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the new light novel licenses that came out of Anime Expo. Now, Anime Expo, of course, is one of the largest anime conventions held in North America. It's held in Los Angeles. Just occurred this weekend. In fact, as I'm recording this, this is the final day. Although pretty much all of the publishers of light novels have had their panels and made their announcements, so I'm pretty confident that there shouldn't be anything new out of Anime Expo today. If there is, I guess I'll just maybe add it in the description down below. But today I'm going to go over the light novel announcements that we have gotten out of Anime Expo. There's a couple of kind of cool surprises. There's a couple of ones that I kind of scratched my head at. And I think overall I would say that what I was really surprised about was that there were quite a few, anime series in the past like season or two that seemed to get a lot of discussion, a lot of hype, and the light novels didn't get licensed, which I thought was kind of odd because the last sort of, couple of years, that seems to have been sort of a surefire thing that if you had major anime success, if the community seemed to be talking a lot about it, that you'd pretty much be guaranteed to get the light novel licensed. So I was kind of surprised that we got some slightly more obscure titles. Very cool thing that happened was we got actually some older titles, which is really awesome. And well, I'll get to some of my other discussions as we go along, but for the meantime, let's get started. So Yenon was the first that came up, and of course Yenon, arguably one of the biggest publishers of light novels in English right now. So their first announcement was, and this is one that I scratched my head at, reborn as a vending machine, Now I Wander the Dungeon, by author Hiro Kuma. Now, basically, the main character, after getting wrapped up in a traffic incident, the main character finds himself reborn in another world as a vending machine, and he can only do and communicate the way that a vending machine would. I'm not too sure how this is going to work, and I'm kind of afraid that there's going to be just nothing but a whole bunch of push my button kind of jokes out of this one, but I guess we will see. This one started a publication in Japan in July of 2016. There's currently 3 volumes that have been released. The most recent one was released in March 1st of 2017. So this appears to be an ongoing series, but we've gotten it licensed pretty early in the cycle of its publication. Yen, I find, typically seems to license things that have had a little bit more time and more volumes built behind it, but in this one, we're getting it pretty early. Next, we have a title called The Hero and His Elf Bride Open a Pizza Parlor, and this one is by Kaya Kizaki. Our main character dies in an accident by a pizza delivery bicycle, and he gets the chance to be reincarnated into a new world, and there are 3 types. There's the swordsman type brave, the wizard of the magician, or the magician, or a brave who rescues the world with pizza. And unfortunately, the first 2 much cooler sounding ones have been taken, and so he has incredible powers with pizza. So, so everybody gets full of smiles and everything else when he delivers his pizza, and so he decides to start a pizza shop and obviously hooks up with an elvish girl. So there you go. Right now, I can only find 1 volume for this. I mean, I've searched on the Light Novel database. I searched on Amazon, the Japan Amazon site, and it was published in January of 2017. So, I mean, it's completely possible that there's going to be more volumes come along. But at this point, there's nothing even sort of up for pre-sale on the Amazon website. I didn't actually go to the Japanese publisher, but again, I don't read any of the Japanese writing systems, so I don't even know if I'd be able to really get that information out of that website, but at this point there is only 1 published. The author previously had a 13-volume series called Dragon Crisis, so the author has done longer series in the past. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see how many volumes this ends up being. But again, just like the previous one, we're getting something very early in its life cycle in terms of light novel releases. Next one that Yenon released is called I've Been Killing Slimes for 300 Years, and that's by Kisetsu Morita. And basically we have a office woman who pretty much dies because of overwork, and she finds herself reincarnated as a young, sort of approximately 17-year-old girl who is immortal. And so she decides, hey, since I'm immortal, I'm just going to take my time. And so she sets up a nice little like cottage in the mountains, and she just becomes like a herbalist, giving potions and stuff to the people of nearby villages just to support herself. And one of the key components that she uses are slimes, which are very low-leveled, easy-to-kill kind of monsters that roam around in large numbers. But what she doesn't realize is that after doing this for 300 years, her nice little peaceful, slow-paced life, she's actually killed enough slimes that she's become the strongest magician in the entire world. And now other people are finding out about it and are looking to challenge her. So much for her peaceful life. So, the author is currently releasing a series named Cheat no Kaineko no Okage de Raku Raku, Level Up or Cheat Cat. There's 2 volumes released as of May 2017, so she's actually doing consecutive series. This one started publication in Japan in January of 2017, and there's already been the 2 first volumes, and the third one is set to be published in July. So, again, like, I find this very interesting with Yenon because they've really been a company that's played things pretty safe. Like, they've usually put out series that are supported by quite a few volumes and almost always an anime adaptation. I won't say always because, of course, Goblin Slayer is not, but I mean, there's been a lot of hype about Goblin Slayer, so that's not all that odd. But again, it's just not typical for Yen to license these books that don't have a really proven track record. I mean, it's kind of cool. Like, it's one of the complaints that I think a lot of us have had in the official English translation community is that, you know, we get these series that are so far behind their Japanese counterparts that it just kind of feels like you'll never catch up. In fact, I talked a little bit about that in my last video for ReZero about how it's like going to take 2 years just to finish the arc or whatever that we're currently in. So anyway, then the next one that Yenon announced is called A Sister's All You Need. The story follows the everyday life of Itsuki, a novelist and modern-day Pygmalion who works day in and day out to create the ultimate younger sister. He is surrounded by various other characters, a beautiful genius writer who loves him, his big sisterly classmate from college, a fellow male writer, a sadistic tax accountant and his editor. And they're all looked after by Itsuki's perfect younger stepbrother, Chihiro, who has a big secret. And that's a description via Anime News Network. Now, the author, Yomi Hirasaka, has contributed to a number of other anthology light novels, as well as having a few other short-lived series, but most notably, she's known for writing the series Haganai, which lasted 11 volumes. It ended in August of 2015, and in fall of 2011 received a 12-episode anime series. So this is an experienced author who's already had proven works. And actually, this one has been scheduled for an anime adaptation that is to premiere in October. And currently, there are 7 volumes of A Sister's All You Need that have been released. The most recently was released in May of 2017. So, ongoing series, 7 volumes released, anime adaptation scheduled for October. This is more the Yenon kind of license that I'm used to seeing. And again, though, it's kind of cool that we're getting this before, well, I guess we're getting the license announcement, but this probably won't release until sometime next year. Because I think Yen based on their website, they've got their schedule booked all the way up until December or January of 2018. So we probably won't see this until after the anime has already been out, but still pretty cool that we're getting it. And then the final Yenon announcement was of a Goblin Slayer spin-off, Goblin Slayer Gaiden Year 1. So I'm guessing this is going to focus on Goblin Slayer when he first sort of sets off as an adventurer to kill goblins. There really wasn't a lot of information about this because, as far as I can tell, it's not even been released in Japan yet. This is something that I'm guessing has been announced by the Japanese publisher, and because Yen has had like some pretty good success with Goblin Slayer. I mean, just based on your interest in my videos on Goblin Slayer, it seems to be a popular series. So I think Yen has just snatched this up right away, even sight unseen. So this one, I'm guessing just based on the one bit of art that we got and just on the name, that this is going to focus on Goblin Slayer as he is a brand new adventurer going out. We might see this, instead of seeing the sort of cold calculating, I know everything about goblins that we see in the main series, we're probably going to see him making mistakes and learning these things about goblins, which could be kind of interesting, but I kind of am not too high on prequel series. I would have really preferred to have side stories that focused on some of the other sort of, lesser characters in the Goblin Slayer. I even would have liked to have seen maybe a volume or two that focused on the trio of Elfish Archer, Dwarven Shaman, and Lizard Priest and sort of how they got together. I think that would have been really cool. But we'll see. I really love Goblin Slayer. I think it's a really good series. So, I mean, I'm certainly looking forward to checking out more of that series. Next up, we have Seven Seas and their light novel announcements. Now, Seven Seas, if you recall, has a deal with J Novel Club. Seven Seas is releasing the physical versions of some of J Novel's titles. Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash and Occultic 9 are the first two. They announced that they've picked up two more at Anime Expo, and those are Arifureta, which I know a lot of you were really hoping was going to get a physical release. So that is going to be released in print. Again, I don't know when it'll be coming out, but I imagine it won't be too long from now, seeing as how the translation is done. They are just printing basically the J Novel Club version. So we'll see how far that comes ahead. Now, Arifureta, there are 6 volumes currently in print in Japan. The most recently released in May of 2017. Ongoing series. I'll give a card link to my review of the first volume. The second one that they have announced that they are picking up is Clockwork Planet. Now, this one hasn't even been released. It's actually coming out, I believe in August, is coming out from J Novel Club. It'll be interesting to see how they time this with J Novel releasing the ebook in August, where the print novel will come into play. Because, well, I mean, with the other series that we've seen, whether they've made this deal with J Novel's had at least 2 or 3 volumes released before the physical copy was put out. So we might wait a couple of months of this. Like I said, volume 1 from J Novel hasn't even released yet. It's coming out in August. So we'll have to see. There's only been 4 volumes released in Japan, and I don't know if that means it's over. The last volume was released in December of 2015, which is a lot longer gap of time if we were going to get a 5th volume than has been between any of the other previous volumes. So I'm kind of thinking this one's done, but again, without having been able to read them, I'm really not sure. If you've read any fan translations, if you have any insights into that, feel free to leave that down in the comments down below. Of course, Clockwork Planet just had an anime adaptation that was out, I believe, last season. And again, is really notable because one of the sort of co-authors, co-creators of the series is Yu Kamiya, who is the author of uber popular series No Game, No Life. So then those are the only 2 that they picked up from J Novel. I was a little bit disappointed by that. Again, like I had some conversations with other people about it, and they were like, well, they're not, light novels aren't a huge part of their business at this point, which admittedly, I guess, I just had hoped that having started off with only 2 series, that maybe they would do at least 3 or 4, like, up the ante a little bit. Especially with J-Novel, they've got 18 different series, either complete or ongoing, a mix of the two. So I kind of had hoped that there would be a little bit more, but nonetheless, these are what we're getting. It's better than nothing, that is for sure. And like I said, I know a lot of you were looking forward to Ari Ferretta being released in physical form, so there you go, that will be coming out. Now, the other 2 announcements from 7 Seas are kind of cool because they are older series. One of which is like a re-release of a previous series that 7 Seas released quite some time ago, and the other is a brand new license of a series that came out back in like 2006. So first of all, let's talk about what 7 Seas is going to re-release, and that is Boogie Pop Phantom. Now, 7 Seas only did the first 3 volumes of this series. The series overall has 20 volumes, and the most recent released in March of 2016. So it's been ongoing for quite some time because the first volume released in Japan in 1998. And in doing a little bit of research on Boogie Pop, a lot of sources say that this is sort of the series that kickstarted light novels into popularity, that sort of started this more modern version of light novels and brought them more into popularity in Japan. So pretty important series given that. And so previously 7 Seas had released these 3 books. They are re-releasing them in ebook format only. They aren't changing the translation, but they are doing sort of a edit of them, I guess just copy edit, just in case there were like, some typos and stuff like that, just to clean it up a little bit, which is fantastic, because we have talked in other, light novels about how distracting it can be when you get all these typos and stuff. So for Boogie Pop, there is an urban legend that children tell one another about a Shinigami that can release people from the pain they may be suffering. This angel of death has a name, Boogie Pop, and the legends are true. Boogie Pop is real. When a rash of disappearances involving female students breaks out at Shinyo Academy, the police and faculty assume they just have a bunch of runaways on their hands, yet Nagi Kirima knows better. Something mysterious and foul is afoot. Is it Boogie Pop, or something even more sinister? So those will be coming out again in ebook format only, the first 3 volumes. I was talking to Cho from EnglishLightNovels.com about this, and she brought up a really good point. She's like, with ebooks becoming a bit more popular and obviously a lot cheaper to produce because you don't have to go through all the printing costs and trying to recoup the costs of printing, she said, maybe this is like an experiment. Maybe this is the first steps to seeing older series that have either lapsed in the licensing or, have never been licensed, a way to get these series out to English audiences with less risk to the English publishers. Now, I know a lot of you love your physical releases, but the idea that we could get series that came out in like the late 90s, early 2000s, it's pretty exciting to me. Like, I think that would be phenomenal. Even if it is ebook only, I still think that would be really awesome. And considering that for most of these older series, the only way you could read them was either on a computer screen or on like an iPad, a tablet. I mean, really, it's not that much of a difference other than you're getting an official translation that potentially has better grammar and hopefully better editing. Not always, but hopefully. But the really cool announcement, and this one is actually getting a physical release, is Toreador. Now, of course, this one's had an anime already released. I believe it was, 24 episodes or so. So basically, this story is about Ryuji Takasu. He's frustrated, basically, because he's in love with this girl. And he meets up with the girl's best friend, who is like a little firecracker and very difficult to deal with. And he finds out that she has a crush on a guy that he knows. And so they basically conspire with each other to try and hook each other up with their respective crushes. Now, this was a 10-volume series. The first volume released in March of 2006, and the 10th and final volume was released in 2009. Now, there are 3 spin-off novels, but I'm really not sure if those are part of this licensing announcement. I don't know. I know that they've licensed the 10, like the main 10 volumes of the series. I just don't know if they're going to do the expanded, like 3 spin-off novels. We'll have to see. They may very well announce that later, depending on how the sales of Toreador go. But again, an older series, a classic series. You know, I know a lot of people are really excited by this, and I'm pretty excited at the idea of, again, like these older series getting some recognition. Finally, from Vertical, we have the announcement, and this was kind of like a non-announcement, like it was a non-event for a lot of us, because the pre-order for this book was released on Amazon quite a while ago. People found it on Amazon listed if you searched under Nisio Isin. But it is volume number 2 of the Zaregoto series, Strangulation, Kuhishimi Romanticist. 2 weeks after the Kubikiri incident, while eating lunch in the university cafeteria, our main character meets a girl named Mikoko Aoi, a friend he doesn't remember. She later invited him to her friend's birthday party for tomorrow, and with nothing better to do, our main character agrees. While buying birthday presents for that day, he encounters the infamous serial killer of Kyoto, Hitoshiki Zerozaki. The next day, Ai-chan, our main character, and Mikoko arrive at her friend's apartment, and with 3 other people, including the host, they start the party. However, the morning after, the host is found strangled to death. So, of course, first volume of the Zaregoto series, it's a murder mystery. Again, talking with Cho, she was saying that this one feels a lot different than the first volume, but it's just phenomenal. This was released by Del Rey a number of years ago. Let me see, did I write that down? No, I did not. Of course I didn't. So anyway, Del Rey put this out a number of years ago. The license has lapsed, I guess, since then. They only ever did the first 2 volumes. And so in similar way that they did with Zaregoto Volume 1, Vertical is releasing this one. It's the Del Rey translation, but a little bit cleaned up, and it's got a new cover and new interior artwork, everything else. So just a new edition of this book, a little bit cleaned up from the Del Rey release. It really isn't clear whether they've licensed the entire Zaregoto series, because this one, it's 9 volumes long in this series. It started in Japan, well, I guess I didn't put that down. Oh, in 2002, and then finished in 2005. So, I mean, again, here's another series that we're talking about that's quite a bit older, although Nisio Isin, because of the popularity of the Monogatari series, of course, you know, very present in a lot of fans' minds. So, and Zaregoto, I believe, just had a new OVA series of the first volume done in an anime in Japan in the past year, I think I saw somewhere. So again, it's unclear whether they have licensed the entire series. On their slide, during their presentation, it said volume 2 of 9. So, I mean, they're at least acknowledging that this is a series. They're not just like talking about this being like a one-off. So I'm not too sure. It was very unclear, I guess because I didn't watch a live stream of it. I just sort of like saw the retweets on Twitter and stuff. So it's unclear whether they've licensed the entire series. I'm hoping they have, but even just to get this second volume, it's still pretty cool. And, you know, if it does well, I'm pretty sure we'll eventually see the rest of the series. So that's it. Those are all the light novels that got announced at Anime Expo of 2017. Let me know in the comments down below, which ones are you looking forward to? Are you kind of surprised by some of these announcements? Which ones were you really hoping would get announced, but we didn't hear anything about? Let me know all those things in the comments down below. And if you're brand new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to check out all of my future light novel reviews, including reviews of, well, pretty much all of the titles that I just announced. Thank you all for joining me in this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye for now.